Welcome, my constant reader friends. I'm Tad, and this is Tad Reads Books and Stuff. All right, so we've got one more week left in October for spooky season. So what is my reading update for this past week? Well, I did finish In the Night Room by Peter Straub. This is what we're going to be talking about today, so I'm just going to set this aside right now. I did finish Cibola Burn, which is the fourth book in the Expanse series that I've been doing a read-along with Moyd on his channel. I'll do a separate video for this because I still have to, when you read the book in the read-along, you also read the short story that is in Memories Legion that goes along with that time frame. And that one would be the Churn. I have not read this yet, so I've got to read this, and then I'll do a full video on these two books here. Next week, I'm going to be finishing The Exorcist, along with the second book in that story, Legion. Now, I should be able to finish all this because I'm taking next week off from work. So it's about time. It's been a crazy year for me. But it's actually in the 40s at night and hasn't been getting too cold here in Florida. So I had to wear a toque to keep my bald head warm. All right, that's out of the way. So that's what we're going to finish for spooky season. This stack over here, Pay No Attention to the Man Behind the Curtain. We're going to talk about that stack probably next week at the end of October. We've only got 2 more months left in the year, and there's a reason those books are there. We'll talk about that. All right, so let's move on to In the Night Room by Peter Straub. Let's get the numbers out of the way. This book was published in October of 2004. Now, in Goodreads, if you look it up, it says that this version of the book, this is a first, there's 352 pages. There are not 352 pages in this book. There are 330 pages in this book. Now, if you read this book, that might actually mean something. I'm not going to give it away, but I don't know if it was done purposely, if Goodreads, was in on something, or if the publisher was in on something, but it does have a bearing in this book if you read the book. All right, on Goodreads, it's a 3.42. Not great, not horrible, but not even in the 4s. So let's start talking about the book. What is this book? Well, this book starts off with this gentleman, Timothy Underhill, and he's an author. So it's another like Stephen King thing, author writing about an author. Actually, in this book, writing about an author. Yeah, a little convoluted there. He lives in New York City, and he's working on a new book. Now, I just found this out. I don't normally like to, do a lot of research or read a lot into books that I haven't read before. So I really had no idea what this book was about when I started reading it. But then afterwards, I did some research, and I didn't know this, but I found that Timothy Underhill is a recurring character in 3 other Peter Straub's books, Coco, The Throat, and Lost Boy, Lost Girl. It's kind of a trilogy, I guess. I don't know much about it. I have heard on some podcasts I've listened to and some other things I've read that Coco is really good. And even The Throat. I don't know much about Lost Boy, Lost Girl. But Timothy Underhill is in those books. So I didn't know that. Anyways, besides that point, so the book starts off with Timothy Underhill in New York City writing this book. He starts getting some cryptic emails, and they're very strange, very convoluted. No trace of where they're coming from or anybody that he's, recognizable to him that he knows. And they're very cryptic. So he thinks something weird's going on. He calls a tech guy to try to look into it for him. But anyways, that's how the book starts. And then the next chapter, we meet a woman. Her name is Willie Patrick. And she's also an author. So it's an author writing about an author, and then writing about an author. Anyways, there's a lot of writers going on in this book. She's a YA novelist, and apparently just won the Newbery Award, which is awesome. And so it goes back and forth. One chapter, it's Timothy. The next chapter, it's Willie. Goes back and forth. We're following them through this thing. Now, as a reader, a longtime reader, you kind of can see it coming. Somehow these two authors are going to come together, and it's going to be important to the story. And absolutely, this happens. The book overall is a supernatural ghost story. I guess something that, Peter Straub is known for. Now, how did I like it? When I first started reading it, I'm going to be honest, I was not enthralled with this story at all. And mainly it was because of Peter Straub's writing style. Now, as I've talked about this before, I read Ghost Story by Peter Straub years and years ago, and I just didn't get it. I didn't understand why everybody thought it was so influential, and they made a movie of it. I didn't even understand the movie when I watched the movie, I'll be honest with you. Maybe I'm not smart enough, it was above my head, I don't know. But I just didn't dig it. And then, of course, I'm a huge Stephen King fan, so I'm reading Talisman, and it's Stephen King and Peter Straub. Again, I could tell, it seemed to me that I could tell when Peter Straub was writing a chapter and when Stephen King was writing a chapter, and it really kind of would take me out of the story. I didn't like Peter Straub's style of writing. He's got a cadence to his writing, and all authors do. They should have their own voice. They should tell their story their way, and I think you get enamored with the stylings of different authors, and that's why you enjoy them and become constant readers and read all their stuff. That's how I feel about Stephen King. It's like, wrapping up in a warm blanket. I've said that before. It's comfort food. Good or bad, I enjoy reading Stephen King. I just like his tempo, the way he writes. He's a storyteller. It's kind of a verbal, visual storytelling style. Peter Straub, I guess, people have said this, that he's more of a literary style than Stephen King. But I don't know what kind of literary style. It's kind of, start and stops with his cadence, his storytelling. Sometimes, especially when people were talking to each other, I got lost. I didn't really know who was talking sometimes, because he would, you know how when they print these books, you'll have a person talking, you've got your quotation marks, person talks, then, starts another paragraph, kind of indentation, whatever, here's another, the person responds, their dialogue goes like that. Sometimes the person would say something and then it would go down and you're expecting a response from the other person, and he doesn't delineate, and you can't tell until the end of the sentence who was. It seemed like the other person was responding, but oftentimes it wasn't. It was the person just continuing to talk and talk, but they were broken up as if, I don't know, it was kind of confusing to me. Maybe I'm not making sense the way I'm explaining, but anyways, it was confusing to me. The storyline was a little confusing to me. I wasn't digging it. Again, I just, here it is. I didn't like him when he wrote with Stephen King. I didn't like Ghost Story. I'm reading this because it's spooky season, and he unfortunately passed away in September. I did have this book on my shelf, so I'm going to read it. And I'm not digging it. So I get to about 120 pages, and something happens in the book. I'm not going to give it away. And I went, okay. That's kind of cool. I see what you're doing there, Peter. It's interesting. Not totally unique. I've seen it before. But interesting. I like it. I like where you're going. Let's see what happens. I start reading more. It gets better. It gets better. It gets better. All of a sudden, I find myself completely enjoying the novel. I didn't see it coming, Peter. Sorry. I didn't. And there are some other things. There's the supernatural world. There's these other entities, angels, maybe other type of ghost entities, maybe parallel world. I mean, it gets pretty cool. Still, not my favorite style of writing, but good enough for me to completely enjoy the book. I'll be honest with you, I even shed a tear. If somebody can make me have emotions, that's awesome in a book. If it entertains me, that's awesome in a book. But this also made me think. And I really dig when I'm starting to think about social, moral issues that he presents. And let's not beat around the book. 330 pages. During this spooky season, I've been reading these novels, and they all are tending to be quick, short, to the point novels, and I've kind of forgotten how much I enjoy that. It's nice to read a 300-page book and get it over with and enjoy it and move on. Some of the books I've been reading lately, and even I have over there, don't look, are just getting longer, bigger and bigger and bigger. I enjoy them, I do. But it is nice and refreshing to read a quick novel that when you're done, you set it down, you move on to the next one, you smile, you enjoyed it. I very much enjoyed this book, but now, I've said it before, I am a bit of a completionist. Now I'm going to have to go. I was thinking about trying Coco anyways, from all that I've heard about it being, one of his all-time best novels. But now that this Timothy Underhill is in it, and I might have to get now all the Timothy Underhill novels and read more Peter Straub, which, again, I don't like his style of writing, really. But if the story is entertaining, makes me have feels, and I enjoy it, it's worth it. So, I gave this like 4 stars. I mean, it's not the most perfect book, and like I said, I don't really like the style, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was thoroughly happy with it. I ended the book with a smile on my face, and I was really not expecting to. All right, Peter Straub, In the Night Room. I dig it. You should give it a try. Tell me what you think. Tell me also if you think I really should go into Coco and then the throw in Lost Boy, Lost Girl, or if maybe there's even a better Peter Straub book that maybe I should read that can kind of build on this foundation that I'm starting to have with this writer. And yeah, I'll take that in consideration. All right, guys, that's it. If you find anything entertaining in my channel, please like and subscribe and leave comments. All those that leave comments, thank you very much. I love it. I love the interaction. I just want to talk about books, and I like to see other people's opinions. All right, well, that's it. And we're going to continue next week getting into The Exorcist. All right, peace out.